Welcome back to Faithfully Ever After.
And in
I'm
this,
Maya.
and I'm Alex. Yeah, and we're bloopering this one here, and we're gonna dive into our mistakes.
One more time. One more time. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Faithfully Ever After. I'm Maya.
I'm Alex, and in this episode, we're gonna dive a little deeper into faith, like we do on every episode, but actually passages from the Bible.
Passages from the Bible. Now, before we get into that, let me ask you something. Primarily you, Amaya. Do you take the Bible for every single word it says, or do you interpret it in your own way, depending on your situation and how you're thinking?
I think that God can speak to you in different ways through what you're reading. But yes, we have to not come up with our own answers when we're reading it. It was intended for how it was related then, and it needs to be brought over now in a current age. But yes, I believe word for word, just different ways that it can be applicable and applied.
See, the one thing that I have to say that I love about you too is the fact that the way that you speak on faith, you make it very relevant.
Yeah.
Because, social media has a very, very, very big, profound effect on the younger generation.
Yeah.
So when you guys talk, before we get into the passages, when you guys talk to people younger, they're clearly all social media hell-bent. How do you actually start a conversation with that mindset?
Yeah, well, I think what we're being most exposed to on social media is self-gaining. Everything is self-seeking, and how is this going to benefit me? And that's what the world is promoting. That's everywhere we look, that's what it is. It's how do we feel good? But our Christian faith stands on the opposite. It's all about how do we do better for each other.
Yeah, you need to spin the social media aspect into something else. You almost have to take it, run with it, and start to spin it while you're going and have a different perspective. Take a different perspective on it, because you're never going to delete the social media.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to have a conversation with someone to say, delete, take that out of your mind. It's not true. It's silly. Don't follow this. You can't. It's not going to happen. So you need to actually put it into context. And, I just had a discussion with Damien, my son, just the other day. And I told him, I said, the way you hear it and what you hear and what you see on social media, there's so much more to it in the background that was never forward facing. So you can't take everything you hear for face value.
Bible also talks about guarding your heart and your mind. So we also establish determine what we'll allow in. And it's also, a choice. We get to decide what we're going to allow.
So there is one passage that we actually talked about off air that I want you to allow people to fully understand it. What was that?
Ephesians 5.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So early on in our relationship, that was when we were kind of a little bit rocky. We talked about how, we had to go for counseling to learn how to communicate better. And on the faith side of when we were walking through some of those practical steps, something that I felt really convicted of that is in the Bible in Ephesians 5, it talks about wives submitting to their husbands. And, I was at a little more ahead in my faith journey than Alex would have been at that time. So it was even more challenging for me to be like, well, he wouldn't be mature enough in his faith to really live out the other side of that.
Right. Because it doesn't really mean what it says, not in that exact context.
Yeah. So it says that the man is the head of the family. So if you look at that, it like in the natural and not knowing, you're like, oh, well, he's in charge. He gets to run things. He's going to, boss me around and tell me what I can and can't do.
I've made the reference to this, and I've had people ask me where they can sign up to be the head of the household.
See, now explain that to me a little bit. Okay, man, we live in 2025. The man of the household, I think that's a little skewed now.
It is, absolutely.
I think so.
But, the other side of that, I think there are, even though we live in 2025, there are people with an older mentality, and maybe not the younger generation kind of coming out into life right now, but somebody my age may be stuck in the middle of, I'm the man of the house, you do what I tell you to do mentality versus,
I think that's more of a leading role opposed to man of the house.
That's right.
Because a woman also takes that stance in a home where she says,
100%.
this is what you think is correct is not correct.
Absolutely.
So that's more so showing leadership opposed to man of the house. I think that's the difference between 1950s and now.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
absolutely.
Right? They look at the man of the house as the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And that is nowhere near the same nowadays.
No, absolutely not. And to be honest with you, we're a team, and I've always said that I can't do what I do if she doesn't do what she does. It's
Yeah,
and vice
it
versa.
started off in verse 21 in Ephesians 5 saying, further submit to one another. So it's not just me submitting to you. Yes, you're the head, but we're submitting to one another. And then for the husband, it says, though he is the head, it's as if Christ is the head of the church and Jesus died for the church.
Yep.
Jesus died for us. He laid down his life for us. So it's like the ultimate, sacrifice. It's the ultimate form of love that you could possibly ever express. So it's for our well-being, a unified well-being, right?
And I think in marriage, leadership actually translates into sacrifice, translates into love. The word leadership translates into all of these different parts that make marriage and family.
Yeah. And it says for husbands, this means love your wives, right? So right in line with it.
It says, repeat that again.
For husbands, this means love your wives.
Now, I think when you read love your wives, how do you interpret that line?
Yeah, so it says as Christ loved the church, I would just bring it back to Jesus literally came for us. Everything he did was for us. The sacrifice he made was for us. Him dying was for us. Everything is for us. So you're like, again, it's just the most pure sacrificial servanthood love that you can possibly offer. It's not authoritative.
This passage that you're reading, what can we date it? What date do you think that was done?
Oof.
Long time.
Yeah.
Thousands of
Really
years.
long time.
Now, look at how relevant it is, though.
Yeah.
Still in this day and age. So when people read a passage, like for example, what you just read right now, why out of all passages, why do you think that one stuck out to you the most?
I think because in that time, especially when I really felt convicted of this, we were bickering about things and we were struggling to communicate in a way where we were understanding of one another. And so if I trust you to lead in love, then I have every reason to submit. Or, again, it's both submitting to each other, working through it together. So it was really something at that time that I really felt convicted about it. And you responded, I trusted God. I was like, God, if you tell me that this is how I'm to act as a wife and I need to submit, then I'm going to trust you to soften his heart and in turn help him lead from love. And it happened naturally. It happened organically. If I'm not going to fight back, if I'm not going to, bump heads with you and I'm just going to, do everything out of love and submit and be like, okay, we'll talk through this calmly. We'll get through it calmly. I trust God's going to work in your heart, same way he's going to work in mine, and we're going to get through it. So, and
it's true.
It
Yeah,
worked.
no, it's true. When they talk about softening of the heart, it's actually true. You ever see that episode in the Grinch?
Yes.
Where his heart starts to get bigger and he's crying and he doesn't know why, and he can't even understand where these tears, like he's just confused. I actually experienced that
I know
in
we're
real
in
life.
green. I'm like, sorry. I'm like,
Oh, I'm wearing
I know
green.
we're
Ah.
Mr.
But
Grinch.
I experienced that. I actually experienced the softening of my heart. And actually, I didn't even know what was going on. It was Pastor Jason that said it to me.
Yeah, when you decide to follow Jesus, there's a
Right.
transformational process.
That's right. And
of
as
the mind and the heart.
that's right. And as your heart starts to soften, you start to feel these different emotions.
But I will say, though, you had two helping hands. You had Jesus on one side and you had your wife on the other.
100%.
So you were guided in a way where you had faith on both ends.
Mhm.
Where when you started, you had just God. You
Yeah.
had just Jesus. You just had them to help you, guide you to, because you were in a dark place.
Yeah.
So now that's one passage.
And I think you have a verse as well.
Yeah, for sure. Genesis 2:24. It actually reads, "This is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh." And that is, I think, a big
That can
part.
sound a little creepy.
Yeah,
One
it is. It
flesh.
is a little creepy,
Right.
depending,
But this was written a long time ago, lots of different contexts. But
yeah, but this is this is really powerful because it's true when they say that if you put let's say your kids in between you, they almost drive a wedge. You should always be one with your spouse,
Mhm.
not to not love your kids, but
Yeah, it's this first.
it's us
If we're
first.
not strong,
Yeah.
that trickles onto the
And
children.
then we've had discussions with our little one
Yeah.
where he's like, who do
Who
you
do you
love
love
more,
more?
mommy or me? Your mom. Your mom comes first, but I love you
But
just
that's
as much.
biblical.
But yeah, it's biblical. I love you. Without your mom, you would not exist.
Yeah.
And you kind of explain that, and he gets it. He understands it.
So, what is your main takeaway from that passage?
That is my main takeaway: is being one with my wife and putting her first. The same way Jesus loved the church is the same way I love my wife, and everything else follows.
And what is your interpretation of it?
Yeah. So one flesh means we're on the same team. So when I'm working towards something, it's a united front. We're in it together. When, we're not, I always say we're not fighting each other. We're fighting whatever the issue is in front of us. And even if it's an argument, we're trying, the fight is to get to the end of that, right? We are to be united. We are to be one. So it's you and I against the world. Like that's what it is. That's what it comes down to.
And it's
Right.
always like that. And what do you have?
1 Corinthians 13. I feel like this is the love verse that if you know any verse, this is the one. And it's verses 4-8. And it's love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy or boast. It's not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. And it always protects, always trusts, and always hopes, always perseveres.
Do you know why that gave me goosebumps? Where's the one place you hear that almost always? At a wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear this all the time. Now, why do you think it's most commonly used in that setting?
I think it really talks to what love is. It literally gives you practical things in how to live out love.
Right.
Like,
It's telling you that love isn't just a feeling. It comes with all this other
yeah.
stuff.
A big one for me is keeping no records of wrongs. I know far too many marriages or relationships that come to an end and the person, can recite every single thing that, their spouse has done wrong in the entire time they've been together. And I'm like, of course how do you expect to get past it if you're holding on to all of it? I quite genuinely, like when we're over something, I don't remember the details. I'm like, yeah, I remember we fought or something, but I don't even remember what it was really about. Like, you let it go. You don't want to hold on to resentment. That builds up.
That's hard.
It is.
That's hard. I'll be your audience right now. That is very, very hard.
It is.
So shed some light. How do you let go of something that you don't want to let go of?
Because if you don't, it hurts you. You need to forgive so
Yeah.
you feel better. Like, obviously I feel the other person deserves
You're
forgiveness
taking
if you love them.
you're taking the ability for that person to continue to hurt you. You're taking it away.
Yeah.
You're eliminating the ability for that person to continue to hurt you when you forget, when you forgive and you forget. And really and truly, you're going to give it to God. If you really are going to forgive and forget, you're going to give it to God and God will take it from you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of passages that are said when you attend church. You know, the priest or pastor says a lot. And it's hard to take in some, but some you take in deeply because it reflects your life.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that a lot of these passages that you just said today, they had a profound impact in your life? That's why you remember them so vividly?
Yes. Yeah. Like I said with my first verse is in Ephesians 5. When we were walking through those difficult moments, I believe God placed that on my heart because he knew it was what we needed to move forward. And, there was the practical step of seeking help and getting help. That's important too. But I believe that God convicted me of that. I also didn't have an example of that growing up. So it was really challenging not having seen what that could look like to have to then live it out, even more so than it would be if, I had that in the home or was exposed to it. But I really felt like God put that on my heart for a reason and I needed to live it out. And as a result, it worked.
So you had a very poor, introduction to a church, to just faith in your household when you were growing up.
No, I became Christian when we started attending a Christian church when I was 8. Before that, I was the Easter Christmas Catholic.
See, another little nugget we didn't know. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So I was born into a Catholic family, but we just, it's more of we're Italian, so we're Catholic. It was more cultural rather than personal relationship. Whereas the type of Christian that we've walked into is I go to God. I don't have to go to a priest to have the priest go to God to ask for my forgiveness. It's very much more, I can go straight to him. He loves me. He wants the best for me. It's personal. It's deeper than that.
Isn't that the idea of faith? Even for you, when you join that, you can talk to God and Jesus anytime you want. You don't have to go into a building for it.
That's exactly what Christianity is a personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I love it. Guys, one more thing before we head on out. For someone who actually wants to dive into the Bible, someone that wants to, maybe pull a passage for their own walk, for their own life, is there any passage that we haven't said today that you can direct people to read?
Actually, there's a Bible app, and in this app, you can actually search themes of things that are relevant to what you're facing, and it'll bring you right to that in the Bible. And there's actually commentary with it. So they have video versions, they have just read along versions, and it'll walk you through the meaning of the stuff that you're reading in that section and tie it in to make it relevant with what you're facing.
And what app is this? What
So it's
website is this?
you can search the Bible app, and it's literally the U version, YOU version Bible app. It
Wow.
pops right up.
See, how come no one talks
Maybe
about
I'll
this?
include a
Yeah,
link
and
to
it-
that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically, it's almost like an interpreter, right? Because a lot of times you'll read something in the Bible. So if Maya were to tell you, you know what, you're going to start reading the Bible, you need to start at this passage here. Number one,
It would
that's
be the Book of John, just in case anybody's wondering. But
so it would be the book of John. But, for you to dive into the book of John and not have any kind of instructions or not maybe not understand what you're reading, who knows what version of the Bible they're picking up. So the Bible app actually is like an interpreter.
Yeah.
Read it and it'll explain what you read.
I'm assuming that you've used it.
I have, yes, I actually have it on my phone.
This is incredible. Like I didn't know that there was such an app.
yeah, it's great. It really is.
We're gonna tag it in this video for sure.
Awesome.
Guys, now we have the Bible app, we have the passages, but we don't know where to find you guys.
You can find us at Faithfully Ever After on most social platforms.
Yeah, Spotify, YouTube.
TikTok.
What's your email, just in case anybody wants to send you a direct message?
If you want to direct email us, it will be contact@faithfullyeverafter.ca.
And as always,
We are rooted in faith.
Growing in love, faithfully ever after.
see you later.
See you again.